Okay, starting with the mouth, of course, you're going to start north and head south with the digestive tract. So the mouth obviously is the first contact with food. Buccal or buccal cavity, of course, that's where the teeth are. So a couple of terms here: mastication is the act of chewing, and that's the reason you chew up food is so you can actually get it down the esophagus. Deglutition is the act of swallowing. It's actually an involuntary reflex. Moving food to the back of the throat is voluntary, and the tongue helps with that. But once it reaches the back of the where the oral pharynx is and food starts going down the esophagus, it becomes involuntary at that point.
Digestion begins in the oral cavity, where the salivary glands, teeth, and the tongue work to break food down into small masses that can be swallowed. The movement of the jaw enables the teeth to grind food. Saliva secreted by salivary glands aids the mechanical and chemical process of digestion. The tongue manipulates the chewed food into a small mass, then moves it into the oropharynx. The next steps are involuntary. The bolus passes through the pharynx, the epiglottis closes off the trachea, and peristaltic waves move the bolus into the stomach.
All right, so teeth. There are two categories, and I used to get this backwards. Primary teeth or baby teeth. Deciduous milk teeth. They come out most of the time on their own. Some people have to have them pulled. About 20 total. Gives the idea when they're lost. The secondary teeth or permanent teeth, and there's 32 of those, including the wisdom teeth. My understanding is some people actually can have 3 wisdom teeth, so I guess they'd have 31. Some can have 4 wisdom teeth, 32. Myself, like a lot of people, my wisdom teeth have been taken out, so I don't have 32 teeth. But as far as types go, incisors cut food. Canines, which are the sharper ones, they're also called cuspids, or like the fangs. Premolars or bicuspids are kind of rounded off, and then molars are the ones in the back that crush food. So here's an open mouth. You can see up here, this is actually called the vestibule, which is in your outline, the area between the lips and the gums. It has soft palate, hard palate. So here's the hard palate. Remember, this is called the palatine process of the maxilla. In the back here are the palatine bones. This is the soft palate, which is also smooth muscle. And the soft palate actually raises up during the swallow reflex, and it keeps food from going up into the nose. That's a good thing. There's the uvula. The palatine tonsils or adenoids, some people have those taken out as well. It looks really crazy. Here's the tongue, and it looks just super huge, but the tongue is involved with moving food around the mouth. It has taste buds on it, that give you taste. It also has papillae. It's rough, so it helps hold food in place. And here's the design. So here's the trachea design. This is how human anatomy is. So there's the trachea. Thank you. Thank you. So here's the trachea. See, air goes down the front. There's the epiglottis. It prevents food from going down the trachea, and the esophagus is in the back. So the trachea is anterior to the esophagus. Oop. Bigger picture. You can see the uvula, hard palate, tongue. And then look, here are the incisors, these first 4. It's not super obvious here. Here are the canines or cuspids, what are called the premolars or bicuspids, and then the molars are in the back. And there's a nice little dental chart. Central incisors, lateral incisors, canines, you can see those. And then if you add up the numbers, that's about 32, somewhere in there. But that's a good chart as well. All right, here is a quick video on teeth. Now, what I can do is it's showing, part of that is gone, so you can actually see how long the roots are. But when you click on these, see our little, it says left incisor, right incisor, lateral incisors. There are the canines, which are they're really more pointed. So when you turn on the side, there's a premolar, or what's called a bicuspid. It's two of those, and then these in the back, you can tell are molars. I think what I'll do, I'm going to hide a couple of these so you can see the how rounded, if you get really close. See the round part in the of these, the flat surface, which is why these are more prone to cavities. They're not pointed. And then if you take these out, where the front teeth are, let's take that one as well. Oop, yeah. You can tell up here, in fact, there's the bicuspid. It's got the two bumps. There it goes. It has the two bumps, and then see here's the, that says canine. See, it's kind of a wedge shaped. There's an incisor. You can get really close. See how they're for cutting and tearing, whereas the guys in the back, which are these, if I can turn it this way, see how they're flat, those are for crushing. Alright, so to finish this up, so teeth were first, you see those, I just clicked on an incisor. Now we're going to do the glands, so I'm going to turn it this way. There's the parotid. There, right here, I'll get a little close, you can see that duct that comes, called Stinson's duct, see how it comes on, and it's going through the gums, and it would end up inside of the mouth. So the parotid gland is there on the side of the jaw. Oop, it's not letting me touch it. There we go. There's the submandibular. This is the left one, and same thing. Here is the duct coming off of that, goes up underneath, goes into that's how saliva gets to the bottom of the mouth, and then these that are under the tongue, on each side, are called the sublingual. So here are the submandibular ones. There's one on that side. And then if I back up a little, so there's the sublingual ones. And same thing, here are the little ducts. And if you move those around, you can see those as well. And the side. So there's a left, and you turn it over this way, back up a little more. So there's the parotid glands. All right, that's the glands in the teeth. Baby teeth, adult teeth. Now, as far as the anatomical structure of a tooth, I'm going to just go to this picture. This one's good. I also included one in your outline. So you have the part that sticks up called the crown, and the part below the gum is the root. And then you can see the yellow is the nerves. This is actually called the pulp cavity, but it's got some arteries and veins, of course. But these are two regions, so the top and then the bottom. Okay, next, here you have on the inside, this is called dentin, which is a little bit denser than bone. Enamel's the layer on top, which is the hardest substance. There's a periodontal ligament that anchors the tooth into what's called the alveolar process. And like I was saying, this in here is called the pulp cavity. So it contains the nerves, the blood vessels. That's also why if this is eroded away, why a tooth hurts, because it gets down to the level where the nerves are. But yeah, incisors are they're there to tear food. Molars crush food. Dental caries are what cause cavities, which are microbes. They're evil. They adhere to teeth, and they use things from your diet to convert energy. In the process, they make acid. So I showed you enamel, dentin, the root. Cementum is actually almost like glue that holds the ligament and the tooth together. Okay, now the tongue. Tongue's kind of an interesting organ, and it's actually called an organ. So there it is. It does have little like recesses. You'll go over this in lab where the taste buds are. Tongue allows you to taste food. It also has papillae where you would find the taste buds, but papillae are rough and they help hold food in place. And it is a striated muscle. You have voluntary control over the tongue. Yeah, and like I says there, projections called papillae that help with friction. I showed you the hard and soft palates and the uvula, which is part of the soft palate. The vestibule is between the lip and the gums. And the last part of this video, the salivary glands. There's 3 of these, and here is the first enzyme that we need to cover. Saliva has an enzyme called salivary amylase. Now, not all enzymes end in ASE, but most of them do. What that does is, if a person eats polysaccharides, which are starches, they're big, it begins breaking them down into disaccharides. Now, a disaccharide is a sugar. A polysaccharide can be complex carbs or starches. They're not sweet. A disaccharide is actually sweet. So there are 3 glands, and the parotid produces the amylase, the majority of it. But saliva is there to mix with food. It's actually a mucus type substance. It's got water in it. It's got this hydrolytic enzyme. If you take a piece of potato and leave it in your mouth for long enough, and if it's small enough, it'll start tasting sweet because the amylase in saliva will begin to break it down. All right, this is an okay picture. I'm going to use it, and you can tell. Also, after this will be a little short video introduction into the glands. Here's the parotid gland. Down here is called the submandibular. It's right near the jaw. And then underneath is the sublingual. And it's sort of breaking down the percentages. It says submandibular, 65 to 70% of saliva production. Amylase comes from the parotid gland. But here are the ducts. That says the parotid duct. A duct is a tube. It's got a hollow portion. Mumps, which people get vaccinated for, is part of the MMR vaccine. Mumps is where that duct gets inflamed. It's a viral infection. I'm sure it's quite painful. Face swells up. So parotid gland, submandibular, sublingual. When a person smells food, these become more active. It's part of the gastric reflex. And will start producing saliva. That whole, you've heard the term mouth watering. And the hungrier a person is, the more saliva, probably. But yeah, they produce saliva. It goes in through here, and that's where it eventually ends up in the mouth. This one is the parotid, by the way, or excuse me, submaxillary. Submandibular is the term for that. So this term. Okay, and then sublingual. All right, I will start there next.